Today, we're learning about one of the greatest sermons ever told called the Sermon on the Mount, and we brought some of our friends to play some of the biggest games we've ever done. Today on Mish Mash!
It's time to die in the Mish Mash, Mish Mash, Mish Mash, Mish Mash. You don't wanna miss this game. Mish Mash, Mish Mash. You don't wanna miss this. Mish Mash.
Today, we're playing some of the biggest games we've ever done on Mish Mash, and right now, we have a face-off. Christy and Ashley versus Justin and Adam. Here's how this game works. This is the adrenaline rush behind me. This is a lap. It's like a maze. But your first lap, the first person will have to army crawl their way through this entire course. When they get to the end, they will tag their second person, who will then crab walk across the entire course. Then, at the very end, lap 3, they both, on both teams, have to wheelbarrow their way through the entire course and finish at the finish line. Whichever team makes it first will be victorious. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Are you guys really ready?
Very ready.
All right, let's get that first player up who's gonna army crawl their way through the course. Let's see, you guys ready? Game faces are on, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! Making their way, army crawling. Actually, the army crawl is actually a good strategy on this one. Okay, we're coming around. See how quickly they go through the slide. You can't really army, oh! Adam's got a quick lead. Where's Ashley? Ashley, come on. Ashley, where are you? Ashley's close. Uh-oh, okay, we gotta get over here. I think Adam might be on his second lap, or on his second slide. Where are you guys? Help! This is the part where it's like maybe a void happened and they just disappeared. Oh, here we go! It looks like Adam made it. He's gonna tag Justin. Now Justin will have to crab walk. Oh, this is gonna be very intense. All right, we're still waiting on Christy's teammate. Do you think she's okay? It looks like they're having some trouble with the tunnels. They're rounding the corner. Go, go, go! Ashley, help. While we follow Adam, let's check on Ashley. Ashley, where'd you go? Ashley! There she is, Ashley's made it. She's here, she's alive. Ashley survived. All right, now Christy's going to the crab walk. Uh-oh, but they almost slipped. Okay, the crab walk is happening, maybe. She says she can't, but she just did. Seems like the freezing water might be slowing our contestants. Might have his way to the crab walk. We can't see him because he's crab walking. They're going careful up the ladder, trying not to slip. There's a lot of movement. You see this thing is just like, it is moving a lot. Oh, Justin, it was Justin, not Adam. Justin has finished. Oh, he is soaked. The last lap, this is the wheelbarrow. This is intense. I don't know how they could do it. In fact, that was my rules. I probably shouldn't have had them do that. That's just very difficult. All right, this is gonna be hard. I actually wanna see how they handle this part right here. All right, there's Christy. Go, go, go! They have a lot of catching up to do, but maybe time is on their side somehow. And it looks like Adam and Justin have just made their way on that first slide. At least one of them is getting closer than I thought. They might actually have a chance for this one. This is insane. Okay, I think Adam and Justin are making their way to the slide. It looks like there's some stuff happening up there. Oh, we see him. This could be it. They're getting their way up. They're helping each other. What a team. But Christy and Ashley are so close. It looks like Adam and Justin are crawling their way. And they're wheelbarrowing their way. Let's go. Yes. We have a winner. And it looks like barely survived. You guys are soaked. That is awesome. And, oh, give it up for Give it up for Ashley Christie. Well done. Well done. All right, you guys make your way over here. You guys, that was incredible. You guys are out of breath, but that's okay. You guys won. So you guys get these amazing official Mish Mash trophies. Thumbs up. They were not bought from Amazon. You can have that one. And here, I got another one for you. In my pocket. This is where I keep them all the time. Right there. Give it up for Justin and Adam winning the Adrenaline Rush. That was awesome. But like I said, we are learning about one of the greatest sermons ever told called the Sermon on the Mount. And we're going to hear more about that right now.
Hey, my name's Mac, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about me as a kid. Now, I have one older brother who is 4 years older than me. So you can imagine we fought all the time, right? Actually, no. Me and my older brother hardly ever fought, and that's because he always showed me kindness, mercy, and grace, especially when I didn't deserve it. I was a menace. I was definitely the problem, but even when I would walk into the room, grab the remote from his hand, and turn off the TV just because it was something that I didn't want to watch, he would still show me so much love when I was acting as his enemy. Now, Jesus actually talks a lot about this in Matthew chapter 5. Let's read this together. He says, "You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that?" Wow. Jesus kind of calls us out in this passage. He's saying that it's not impressive to love people that love you and to be kind to people that are kind to you. But he is telling us that as children of God, we have to be challenged by loving those who are our enemies, by being kind to those who aren't being kind to us, just the way my brother was when we were kids. And the reason that he showed me so much love was because he had the love of Jesus inside him. And that changed me and changed our relationship. Years later, when I started playing soccer, I was super competitive. And the other girls on the other team were also very competitive. And there was one day when I was a goalkeeper that I was trying to beat them to the ball. I was sprinting. And when I got to the ball, I grabbed it and landed on the ground. And the girls behind me went out of their way to kick me in the back of the head and then fall over me. I was livid, but because I had the love of Jesus inside me and I had experienced so much love from my brother when we were kids, I was able to take a breath, stand up, and help the girls up next to me. And because I showed love to my enemies, I like to think that they were able to show love to their enemies later. Because when we show love to our enemies and we are kind to people that it's hard to, you never know the impact that it's gonna have. Jesus wants us to love our enemies because he loved his enemies first. Now, let's read this verse a few more times and talk about it.
2,000 years ago, Jesus gave the greatest sermon ever that we call the Sermon on the Mount. In it, he shares with us a better way to live, one that focuses on others and God instead of ourselves. And as followers of Jesus, he tells us to love our enemies. But how exactly do we love our enemies? Well, let's hear more from our friends at the Bible Project.
Conflict in relationships is unavoidable. Even with your friends and family, maintaining peace is a struggle.
And it's even more difficult with our enemies, people who are out to get us.
Right. This is true of any time and any place in human history. Where there are people, there is strife and violence.
And this was definitely true in the time of Jesus, when Roman forces occupied the lands of Israel. So in his teachings, Jesus gives a radical vision for how his followers can seek peace in the midst of this conflict and work to repair even the most difficult relationships.
Jesus is an Israelite, and he believes that God's wisdom for relationships is found in the covenant laws given to ancient Israel.
And so in these teachings, Jesus will quote from one of those laws and then show the wisdom that's underneath.
So Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said to the ancients, 'Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made.'"
Now, in Israel, an oath was a type of promise where you swear by God that you will do what you say.
Like if you want to borrow some money, you could swear by God to repay me.
Exactly. And you can trust me because in Israel's covenant laws, God requires me to keep my oaths.
So oaths are a great way to avoid disputes.
You would think so, but even oaths can be twisted to take advantage of people. For example, what if I swear by God's temple that I will repay you?
Well, I know the law requires you to honor your oath, so it's a deal.
But I didn't exactly swear by God, just by his temple. So I'm not really bound to the oath.
So you're tricking me into trusting you.
Exactly. So Jesus cuts through all of this and says, just don't make oaths at all, by God or by anything else in God's world.
Never make a promise to anyone?
Well, not quite. His point is that when you do make a promise, don't use God's reputation as a tool to manipulate people.
Right, Jesus says, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Being a peacemaker starts with a radical commitment to honesty and integrity.
Now, I can see how this works if I started the conflict, but what if someone else starts a conflict with me?
Well, the next case study actually gets into exactly that.
Jesus quotes from the Torah. "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth."
This is a famous line known as the law of retaliation.
Yeah, you harm me, I can harm you back. This kind of sounds like a license for revenge that can get out of hand.
Well, actually, this law was designed to limit the amount of retribution you can demand. It should be equal to the amount of harm done and not more.
So this law keeps peace by restraining our urge to hurt back those who hurt us.
Yes, and Jesus takes the wisdom of this law to a new level, telling his followers, don't even pay back an evil person.
Don't retaliate at all?
Yes, become people who value peace more than getting even.
But letting people get away with evil won't bring peace. You just can't stand by and do nothing.
Hold on, Jesus doesn't say do nothing. Rather, he advocates a really bold and creative response to evil that is nonviolent, so it can open the door for peace.
What does that look like?
Well, Jesus gives 3 examples from his own time and place.
First, he says, whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to them as well.
In the ancient Roman world, a right cheek slap with the back of the right hand was a symbolic way of dominating someone.
And humiliating them.
But Jesus says, don't retaliate. Rather, stand your ground and offer them the left cheek. This will force your attacker to strike with an open right hand. In other words, to strike you like an equal.
And it forces them to treat you as a fellow human being.
Yes, even if it costs you.
Well, next, Jesus says, if anyone sues you and takes your shirt, let him have your coat also?
Yeah, in ancient Israel, taking a poor person's coat was against the law because it's also their blanket to keep warm at night.
But a really uncaring person could find a way around this by demanding their shirt as payment.
Right. So Jesus offers a creative response. Give them your shirt and also give them your coat.
Why would you do that? Wouldn't that leave you exposed?
Exactly. Jesus is being provocative. The goal is to shock everyone around by exposing this injustice through costly generosity.
The third example is whoever forces you to go 1 mile, Go with them too.
In Jesus' day, a Roman soldier could force any subject to carry their packs for them up to a mile.
How humiliating and dangerous.
And so Jesus says, carry that load not just 1 mile, but 2. The first mile, he might treat you like a pack animal, but by going that second mile, you assert your humanity as you choose to treat him like a friend.
Wait, treat an enemy oppressor like a friend?
Yeah, it sounds crazy. But Jesus is saying that bold generosity can subvert the power games of our world and even turn enemies into friends. And that leads to the last law that Jesus quotes.
You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.
Jesus is quoting an ancient biblical law when he says, love your neighbor. But then he quotes a popular line that many Israelites added to the law, but you can hate your enemy. Jesus counters this by telling his followers, love your enemies and pray for those who mistreat you.
Now, isn't this going a bit far? Peace with my enemies is one thing, but loving them?
Yes, Jesus seems to think that true peace is only possible when we treat every human as if they have ultimate value, which means that even my enemy is a fellow image of God.
But how am I supposed to love someone who hates me? It's hard enough to love the people that love me.
And our love for our friends and our family is a good thing. But for Jesus, that is just the starting point. He challenges his followers to share that same love outside our circles of comfort. And he holds up God's indiscriminate, generous love as the model.
Jesus says, God causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous.
The call is to become peacemakers who are inviting others in, working to mend broken relationships at every level in our communities.
It really is a radical way to live.
Yes, Jesus calls it becoming complete when he says, be complete just as your heavenly Father is complete. It means imitating God's generosity to both friends and enemies, because for Jesus, creative love is the only pathway to real peace.
Jesus has a lot of great things to say in the sermon, and as followers of Jesus, we should follow his words very closely, especially if he calls us to love our enemies. We all know how hard that can be, but it's something that Jesus wants us to do. When we love our enemies in ways they don't expect, we show them a better way to live. And that better way is following Jesus. So remember what Jesus says, love your enemies.
Mish Mash.